She's very excited about this video. Hi again, it's me, Gazbot, for 100 Days of Making Comics. Today we're starting with day 45, 5 days away from the halfway point, and I'm working on my story for the new anthology for the 100s, Werewolves and I cannot get it right. Werewolves and Unicorns. It'll be easier when it's printed in front of me. And I will get to it. So here I am at the desk. It's later in the day. I have done my 30 minutes, but before I did my 30 minutes, I did another warm-up as I did yesterday and as I've been thinking might help get me back in the mindset. But I decided to do a warm-up of a Power Rangers helmet, a Sentai helmet, whatever you want to call it. And I wanted to learn from my past mistakes where instead of doing a sketch that I couldn't do anything with or spending tons of time creating a print, I spent an hour, and this is weird, I know, an hour doing a warm-up sketch, but I let it be a work in progress of a potential print. What I have here is what I did. This took me about an hour, and this is Power Rangers Zeo Green 4, I think is the number, from Power Rangers. Anyway, this is a print I need to make / want to make for a show coming up, and so I sketched it. I put temp shading in there, but if you look, these lines need to be re-inked. I more or less got like what I would call the rough pencils done on this, but what I didn't do was rush to throw some colors in and make it look more finished. I posted it up as a work in progress, and then tomorrow or whenever I get back to it, I could do more work on it, and my warm-up will then become a finished product. And I go back and forth between just drawing for the fun of it and actually getting product done, but I didn't have anything in mind that I felt like drawing, and unlike the other commission I have done, the Nessie, where I'm like struggling with what to do, I've done enough of these helmets that where even when they're hard or they're taking time, I know what I'm doing and I know where I'm going with it. So it was actually easy and relaxing to do this. So it was a good way to start. So I did that. And then this is the beginning of page 3 of my comic. And I got this whole panel pretty much done. I mean, obviously I have to ink it, but the digital pencil's done. I used reference for the werewolf on the right. Let me see. Up here, because it's supposed to be based on the Altered Beast werewolf. I took a little bit of liberty with the neck and stuff. I might go back and change that, but the lettering is going to be over top of that. I might need to fiddle with the lettering a little bit. And then I used reference for this Genesis and myself as a kid, and, you know, kind of worked exactly how I wanted to. So it just came together real quick. I spent maybe 45 minutes on it and done with that for today. So that's my 30 minutes that I have to do. I'm going to try to work on the Nessie commission a bit now and see how that goes. All right, still the same day. I did put some work into the Nessie picture, and it's definitely coming along. Making the whole thing, the whole body more visible, I think is helpful. And then I scooched it up a little bit so that the neck is actually going off it a little bit. But I also populated it with a few more people, and I erased a lot of the background details. I told you there's some stuff here that I kind of covered up with smoke. And over here, there's a huge ship. Actually, I can show you here. There's a huge ship, and I wanted this crate getting knocked off, and I was having a hard time making it make sense with all the other pieces. So by keeping just the crate and the crane and getting rid of the ship, which doesn't necessarily have to be there, I think it made it work a lot better. It's easier because it's less to draw, but it also makes it work a lot better. I may or may not go back and put that truck in. I also have this other little mover truck. There'll be something here. I'm not sure 100% what. I'll put a few more people. I have one flying off in the background there that I may or may not keep. But yeah, it's coming together. It's still not 100% there, but I'm feeling much more positive about it today. Well, that was quite the thing, caricatures and all. It is good that I got there early because there was another caricature artist there who I didn't know, but we were both looking for the place. And we were at the right building, but it was a thing where I was like upstairs, and the guy's like, oh, you go through here and past that, and we couldn't find that. And then we saw someone in there, and we're like, oh, where it is? And he's like, you go over to that, and we couldn't find that. And eventually we just wandered around and found it, which was fine, but if we hadn't got there, you know, a half hour or so early, it would have been a problem. The job was pretty easy, not too busy, but busy enough to keep us busy. I got a couple tips, which I don't always get, so that was nice. Came back, time to work. All right, did my 30 minutes. Page 3 again, panel 2. I thought it was going to be a lot more difficult than it was. I got it done pretty easily. I did a few passes, which I've erased, but I grabbed a reference for the specific car that I'm not even 100% sure if it is the right car from that time period. But if it's not this, it's something close. It's a Volvo from the 80s. But it turns out it doesn't really matter because it's just a little bit of the door panel, so I didn't have to worry probably about getting the reference at all, but I did. And it was, you know, made the car a little bit more realistic. And then I have these sort of speed anime lines, and it's one of those weird things where I'm happy with it, but it doesn't look like I drew it. Like this face, like It looks like, I don't know, it's that weird thing where you step out of your style just a little bit. It's a little bit cartoonier than I usually like to do, and it's, you know, I don't know, I like it. It makes me chuckle, and I'm happy with it, and it's done. But again, it feels weird, like somebody else helped me with it. And I think that's it for today. Tomorrow, Saturday, we got the weekend. Sunday, I'm going to do the Twitch request live. Otherwise, I'm going to do a lot of housework and cleaning that I started last weekend, but it's like an ongoing process for this one room specifically. I will, of course, be doing my 30 minutes both days. I don't know if I'll have time to do anything else. Yeah, that's it for today. I was going to go, thanks, but I've been doing that a lot, so I'll say, okay. No, this signing off. Whatever. It's tomorrow. Just go to tomorrow. Go. Pan away. Pan away. Pan away. Thank you. Day 47 starting with a package. Yeah, so day 47, it's a mess. It may look like a mess, but this is actually progress. I spent all day doing housework, getting stuff out of the guest room that we never kind of set up properly. It was out on the landing. I cleaned out the landing, vacuumed. It's a lot of moving boxes and then cleaning because the boxes have been there. Reorganized this whole closet in here, which is where most of this came from. Got rid of about a third of it. This stuff is being sorted to either go back there or get rid of. Doesn't matter. The point is that's what I've been doing all day and I'm exhausted. But it's time to do my 30 minutes. Something I forgot to mention. My stylus, which I have probably complained about how the button falls off, and I may or may not have said this, but the nib was getting worn down, and it actually started glitching where it would stop detecting pressure sensitivity once every couple days or so, but I was getting worried that I was gonna have to buy a new one. I thought I had another one because I had one that came with my Cintiq, but I previously had a Wacom tablet with the exact same stylus that I'd been using and never stopped using, and the one in the Cintiq I just never opened. And this is like 10 years ago, so after 10 years of use, it was falling apart. I found the Cintiq box the other day, last week when I was cleaning, no pen in it, no stylus. So I was like, oh man. Then today, cleaning out the closet, I found this weird secondary box inside, stylus. So trick, this is the new one. It's old, but it's never been used. It's brand new. I've already started using it. Not only does the button not fall off and it not glitch, but the pressure sensitivity is better. Even when the other one was working, I didn't realize how bad it had gotten. The only downside of this is that it was sticky because I guess it had been in a not climate-controlled area, and this is like rubber, so I had to wipe it down with some alcohol wipes, and it seems to be mostly okay now, but like some of the chemicals had leached out of it. Doesn't matter, everything else works fine, so even, it's not sticky now, but even if it was, I would still use it. Just messing around, this is the old pen when it wasn't glitching, and this is the new pen. Now, you might say, well, this is a thinner brush. No, it's the same brush. I think it was a 12. And so the pressure sensitivity wasn't as high because you can see here, that line is almost as thick as that. But I used the exact same strokes. Like basically I drew this first and then tried to replicate it with the other pen and the other stylus, I should say. So clearly I was losing some fine control that I hadn't even realized. So that should make everything easier going forward. All right, I'm done. And you might find this hard to believe, but I did a little more than a half hour, a little less than an hour. I know! When have I ever done that before? The panel I was looking at, this is the rough, and I'll show you, I pretty much have it done. I had to change it a lot, and it's one of those cases where I lost a lot of the energy for the sake of realism a little bit. I kind of went the opposite of where I went on the last panel, because basically you get this kid using his hand and slashing at a wave, and I have this like crazy blah coming out of it. But it's a little bit unrealistic. Honestly, even what I have here, where it's traveling up as far as it is a little bit unrealistic. The wave I got a little better, and I looked at some reference. You can see up here, I was looking at reference for what like the water looks like in that situation. Let me turn this off. So I feel like the background I got better, but the pose I have him in and the slash, it looks a little stiff. It's a little bit more accurate, but a little bit more stiff. But again, I had that. It's not even a stick figure. It's like a bleh, you know. So I'll probably leave it as is for now, but when I go back for the inking pass, this is one of those ones where I might revisit the pose a little bit or might revisit the splash a little bit, but you know, not too bad for a day's work. I got the sun blaring down there, and then the lettering will go in there and I'll have a little sound effect. I'll probably move that a little bit, but not too shabby for where I'm at right now, and this page is coming along a lot quicker than the previous pages. In part maybe because of subject matter, but also in part because, as I've said before, when I go along with project, each phase tends to get a little bit more detailed the longer you go into the project. So hopefully then that means the next page will be done even quicker, and who knows, maybe I'll be on inks in a week and a half, maybe, I don't know. But tomorrow I'm also going to get like 30 to a half hour, and then going into next week, Monday, I think I have all my client work done. I'm pretty sure I do. I think I got to send a couple emails and like billing stuff, but I think as far as work is done, it's done. And then I have 3 outstanding commissions, one of which is the Nessie. So I'll probably work on the Nessie and this Monday, and that's it. So hopefully I could put some more time in than the half hour to an hour on Monday and really make some real progress on this. Yeah, but I'm going to go to bed. Well, I'm not going to go to bed. It's midnight. I'm going to play with the cats, feed the cats, do some other stuff, maybe clean up this mess a little bit. I don't know. But I'm done with this, and I'm done with you, so see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Don't knock Karen over.
She's discovered the ability to jump, I guess, from the steps up to the top of that. Day 48, I'm outside, getting a little bit of a late start. It's actually sunny for the first time in a while. It's been very rainy and overcast here. And, you like that? I'm the Joker. What? Heath Ledger. Anyway. So we were out of milk, so I had to leave the house anyway. So I decided to go get bagels at the place where I get bagels. And I was over here before. It's a little mini shopping center where there's a Ross and a Walgreens. So I decided to stop in and see what's going on. And in the Ross, they have a discount toy section that usually has not much, but occasionally has something. You never know. And so, this is weird. People are bumping into me and looking at me. Don't they know I'm making a video? They're trying to shop. Anyway, they had a couple Star Wars things. They had a 4-pack of figures, and it was like $8. And there was one I wanted, one I was mediocre on, and 2 I didn't want at all. So even at $8, it was not that good of a deal, because then I would have had to sell, give away, get rid of the others. But they also have this like technology where you put like this wrist thing on and it makes the figures talk. And they've come out with a 0.1 and a 0.2. And I have a lot of those figures and vehicles, but I never got the communicator because they were going for like $20, $30, whatever they were going for originally. And I've seen them go down to 15 and 13. I'm like, I sort of kind of want it to use up with the figures, but I'll wait till it gets really cheap, like maybe $5. I don't know, you know. And then they had a bunch of them in there for $3. And it comes with a Kylo Ren figure, which I don't need. But theoretically, I could sell that for $1 or $2, and I still didn't get it for $3, which lets me know that I really don't want it. And it was really not a good selling point or technology, and I'm glad I hope they're moving away from it anyway, because I don't think I'm the only one that didn't care about it. Even kids, I don't think cared about it. All right, nothing at Walgreens either. I'm going to get the bagels now. The Toy Fair is this weekend. I'm not there, obviously, but I've been following the news, sort of. I'm like a day behind with everything. But one of the big things is that Hasbro, which now owns the rights to Power Rangers, Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, just about everything, you know, an 80s kid would be interested in for the most part, they launched a new site called Hasbro Pulse. And on their site, they've always had a site where they sold stuff. And usually it was the stuff that you didn't want, you know. But 2 things they've done differently is they're doing crowdfunding. They have HasLabs where they're crowdfunding things now. Like they recently did a Jabba's sail barge for, you know, a couple $100, and it was successfully funded. And apparently that's going to be an ongoing thing with different big projects. And also pre-orders. So they have pre-orders up for things that they just announced at Toy Fair, which is good because hard to get figures. Instead of hoping you see it show up at a Target and hoping nobody buys the one you want, you could just pre-order right from Hasbro and know you're going to get it. And they have a thing for free shipping, so you're getting it with no markup and free shipping, with no hassle, guaranteed getting it right from the source, which would cut down on the amount of toy hunting I need to do, which is good and bad because it'll save me time. But I do kind of like going to the store, but also that means you're not going to get a discount. So there still might be a bit of a game play where if you buy it off the site, you're betting that it won't go on discount. I don't know, whatever. This has nothing to do with art or bagels, so goodbye. So it's day 48. Cats are eating. I'm eating. I'm eating a snack. It's 1:30 in the morning. I, as predicted, did mostly housework today. I mean, a little bit of normal housework, but I forgot if I've mentioned, but we're cleaning out a room. And so last weekend, it's a room, we moved into this house like a year and a half ago, and this room has never been put together. It's kind of been storage-ish, maybe be a guest room one day, but it's sort of been nothing. And it's gotten so filled that to like clean it or make it be anything, we have to kind of empty it. So we emptied a ton onto the like landing area last weekend and got rid of some stuff to like, this is garbage, this could be sold, whatever. and then the rest was to be sorted through and dealt with. So then we dealt with that, cleaned off the landing, made it perfect, and then today basically filled it up again. And so that's what I was dealing with mostly today. Then I did my Twitch request stream, did some sketches. Yeah, and I've been done for like an hour or so. I played some Overwatch. I should have just done my 30 minutes, but I don't know, I'm awake, but I'm physically awake but mentally tired. I probably should have done my 30-minute, well, I should have done my 30 minutes before the Twitch request live, but whatever, it doesn't matter. What's done is done, and I will do my 30 minutes soon because there's no skipping, and I am a professional. I'm finished. That was dramatic. Less than a blah blah, you always know what I'm gonna say. This is the rough, and on the surface, this is a quick, easy panel because there's no background, just a close-up of a hand. But hands are hard to draw, said every artist ever. Even artists that can draw hands well must have struggled at some point to get there. I am still struggling. I can do passable hands most of the time, especially in a wide shot, but when it gets close up, that's where I start to fumble. So what I did first was basically, I drew over my rough, looking at my own hand. Because that's one of the things. It's always like, well, you need a hand for reference. You always have a hand. But it's hard to kind of hold my hand in this position while drawing. And the other thing I realized is, like, I'm looking at it like this, but I'm also, this is kind of the angle I want, sort of, but then this finger's up because I'm, like, trimming a nail. So, like, it is difficult to use your own hand for reference for something like this. If it's just straight out like that, or a fist, or a thumbs up, it's not so tough. But, you know, I did my best. And as you can, and this I just did from memory. And so when I turn off the rough, you could see a lot of the flaws. I feel like this part I got pretty right, but then in here it gets a little wonky. So I actually did another layer, which I've since erased, but it was a red layer where I kind of imagined the bones in here and it kind of straightened out a little bit. Unfortunately, I already deleted that layer, but this is the layer I put on top of it. And I think it's improved. I still don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's great. But again, it's going to be part of a bigger panel like this, and it's definitely wrong. I definitely feel like this area is the most right, this area is the most wrong. But I spent, 40 minutes working on it and redrawing it 15 times. I'll have another chance to redraw it at the inking phase. I'm going to move on from now because, again, I could spend hours redrawing it. And this is the thing I struggle with a lot, and I've talked about this before, of like, I look at pictures, I look at reference, I look at my hand, and I still can't get it to look right. And I feel like I have a block in my brain sometimes because it's not even like the little individual details and folds. It's just the basic structure. And not just of the hand. This happens to me with perspective and other things where some stuff, kind of comes a little easier than others. And of course, practice and study is part of it. But I've drawn hands so many times and studied books and looked at, and I have some brain block that won't let me quite figure out the secret. There's like a puzzle to like, oh, snap, now I get it. And I might mess up and I might need to look at reference, but at least I kind of understand it. I still don't quite understand it. And this is one of many, for lack of a better term, blind spots I have that I could usually skate by and get past, but certain panels like this, it becomes glaringly obvious. I started working on this panel next, and see here, this hand I did real quick, and it's not perfect, but it's a lot more passable. It's something about, it's smaller, and it's the back of the hand, it's just a lot easier. But mainly I worked on this, and I did like 40 minutes on this, and I did this in like 6 minutes. So, there you go, that's today. Now let's move on to tomorrow. Hey! Hey, today's day 49, and let's go. All right, so I just wanted to do a warm-up thing again, and so I went back to that Power Ranger Zeo head thing and put about an hour in. Inked the helmet and started the colors. I still have to ink this and do a bunch more work, but that's, about 2 hours in on this now, but progress towards a finished piece that I can make a print of. Well, this day has certainly got away from me. Did not go the way I thought it would yesterday. House stuff. Q stayed home from work, wasn't feeling well, so I was kind of helping her, feel better. I had to go out to the store to get some medicine, then I had to go to another store. I slept later than I thought. Just life got in the way. So I got up later, and then I did the Power Ranger work, as you saw, and then I didn't get back to work until now, and it's, after midnight. So I did just do my work on the comic. The good news is I did over an hour. I didn't keep a real good track of time. Once I hit a half hour, I just kept going. I know it's been more than an hour. The bad news is I only got one panel done. Another case where I even had a rough of this yesterday, and I'm not going to show all the different processes, whatever, but I redrew it a million times, trying to get the expression right, trying to get a bunch of different things correct. Again, it's decent, it's workable. I'm done with it for now, but it took way too long. Regardless, it's done. I don't know what else I get done today. Done, whatever. I did my 30 minutes. The rest of the day was a little disappointing. I don't know if we'll talk again. If not, I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, it's still day 49. I am heading to bed. It's a little later. I didn't do any more drawing, but I did handle some Etsy orders that need to go out. Man, I look tired and messy. But anyway, I handled some Etsy orders that need to go out. Got them packaged up, put the postage on them, all that, so I could just send them out tomorrow. They were supposed to go out today, but the post office is closed because of President's Day here in America is a holiday. And I did some other stuff that I forget what, but not actual art, but like, Gig Masters, which is a site I use to book character gigs. I responded to a bunch of emails on there and just stuff like that, like worky stuff, but not drawing. Anyway, now I am going to bed. So low. I don't know. Day 50, and well, I was gonna say I'm starting the day by sending out some Etsy orders, but I've been up for a couple hours. I did some yard work and a few other things. Even though I said I wanted to do just artwork today, there was some stuff I had been letting slide I had to pick up, and also I wasn't feeling particularly well this morning. And while it sounds counterintuitive, when I don't feel well, it's better for me to do chores and physical labor than to be sitting at a computer. It doesn't make me feel better, but I don't have to concentrate. I don't have to think. I could just move around and get stuff done, and sometimes it helps my body push around the not goods. It doesn't make any sense. Point is, that's what I did so far. Great, I'm back home, still day 50, and it's early, well, early for me doing these things. As you can see, the sun still exists. I mean, I guess it continues to exist despite our lack of ability to perceive it and whatever. Anyway, it's daytime, and I have done an hour on my comic. Working on this panel, which is the last panel for page 3 to get the digital pencils done, the first thing I did was import this reference from the Court Tavern. That is not my band, but that is a place we played, and I wanted to get that sign in the background, so I have traced it. It definitely is still not perfect. Like, if you look at my tracing, like, at a glance it's good, but it actually, I don't know, I lost a little bit, but it was this weird sort of font somebody painted on there, and so I just copied it because, fine, who cares? I'm never going to be able to get it with a font, and, you know, whatever, it's just a background detail. So then I populated with me, and I populated with my bassist Roy, who's probably going to be covered up by some of the lettering, and I got to go back in and put in some other things. So I sort of have this panel filling the whole background, but these are the main elements. Everything else is probably going to be covered up in shadow and just partially done. I think it's fine. I go back and forth about the face, because this is a somewhat accurate face, but in the rough, I definitely had it a lot more cartoony, and I'm not sure how cartoony I want to make it, because I'm not making this strip super cartoony, but then on the panel up here, that definitely was a little more cartoony, so I probably won't do anything about it now. Like, well, now I'm done for today. I'll probably go back and work on it more tomorrow to finish out this panel, and I probably will leave it alone until I get to the inking phase when I may or may not decide to redraw it, but that is an hour done today. Now, back to my work on Nessie. I have a lot of other elements other than this one being worked on, as you can see, some of which still needs to be kind of cleaned up a little bit. They're not ready to be inked, like these people obviously are basically just gesture drawings. But as I've been having sort of a hard time motivating myself to get this going, I'm going to go ahead and this is more or less done. I just thinned out the neck a little bit. I'm toying with the idea of adding a finger to this hand, but otherwise it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this and have this done and then go back and work on other stuff, because I don't normally like to skip ahead to inks when other parts are still not done, you know, with the final pencils or whatever, but I want to make progress. This is something that'll take a while to ink, and I feel confident and motivated to do this right now, so I'm just going to do it and let the rest of it get done later. All right, I've put about 2 hours in on Nessie, which I know this isn't my comic work. I did my comic work, but I'm just talking a lot about how slow I am, and I do these 11 by 17 colored prints, which I will make of this eventually, of like Godzilla and things like that. And people often ask, you know, how I come up with my pricing. I used to sell them for $10 each. Now I use better paper. I use backing boards. I use better materials, and they cost me more to make, and I now charge $20 a print. This is a switch I made a couple of years ago, and for the most part, it has not affected my overall intake. Like, I've sold a few less, but I make more each one, so the money I make on prints has stayed the same or gone up since I've made that change. And part of it is because I try to put quality in, and hopefully people like my artwork, blah, 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 blah. But part of it is because of the time investment. So I have already spent who knows how many hours on this. I've been keeping close track. Now, not including anything else but just this body. This is where I was, right? It's pretty tight. And I turned this into this. and that took me 2 hours. 2 hours to ink it, not color it, not everything else, not, and so likely when I'm done, this will be something that took me, in the neighborhood of 20-something hours, or say 3 full days of 8-hour work all added together. So that time, 3 days worth of work, putting aside the cost of printing and everything, I might sell 1 of these. I might sell 50 of these. I have no idea. But I try to say, if I'm going to bother to make 1 of these prints, I'm putting 3 days of my life aside. Even if it's broken up over weeks, it's still 3 days of my life to do it. I have to value it as such. And if people decide they don't want to buy it for $20, well, then I won't print anymore and I won't sell anymore. But it's not worth it to me to make 1 of these and then sell it for 10, 5, 3, $1, whatever some of these discount people do. And, whatever. If they can get their work done quick enough and they print it on cheaper paper and they're happy with that and it makes it valuable to them, great. I'm not in competition with them. I don't care what other people are selling. Now, $20 a print, lots of people sell for $20. It's not like I'm way over everybody, but I'm just telling you why I decided to charge that much and how I came to that decision. And it makes me feel better about it because when I'm working on this, if anything, I put more work into it because I'm like, I'm going to charge $20 for this. It's got to be good. Now, this is also a commission, so I want it to be good because it's a commission and it's going to be in a presentation. But even if it was just a print, I would view it the same way. So anyway, it's probably getting close to dinner time. I'm going to stop working on this for now, and I don't know. We'll see what happens later.
So cute. What, just because you blend in with the wood, you think you're such a good, smart... Yeah, you're right. You're good.
It's day 51. I did do a little more work yesterday, not on my comic, but on Nessie. I actually spent another hour redrawing the fins and hands. I didn't like the way they looked. I didn't think they looked fishy enough. And so, but doing that maybe, I need to re-ink it now too. So basically I re-penciled it and spent an hour. So going back to how long these things take me. Today I have not started anything art related yet, but I will soon. All right, I did my time. I did about an hour today. Once again, a little bit more than I have been doing. Why can I not hold this? Hey, I did an hour. And I finished up this panel. Basically, I redid this face a little bit. I adjusted the guitar because it was way too big. Put in more background stuff and kind of fleshed out the rest of the court taverns. A little bit of abstracted because this sign wouldn't be like this, but I wanted it to be seen. And, I threw this detail in here, which would probably be facing the other way. So took a little bit of artistic license, and then I threw the shadow in. And there'll be, of course, lettering over all of it and some musical notes and stuff. So a lot of this will be covered up, but this is done, which means if I zoom out, 3 is done, rough pencil. So I have to do the pencils for page 4, and then it's on to inks. I did do some more work on the Nessie picture. Total today, I put about 3.5 hours in on the Nessie. And the reason I mentioned that is to show you where I'm at. Now, I still have roughs for the rest of it, but basically I redid the arms and hands mainly, and the foot, and had to ink it. Then I just flatted it. Then I inked this crate and flatted it, and I inked these 2 workmen and flatted them, and that's 3.5 hours from where I was. So once again, underscoring how slow I can sometimes be, especially on something that's going to be a print that will be around for a while, potentially. But that's really it for today. Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. Come on. We're gonna do the twist. Yeah, it's day 52, and I'm bringing Star Commander to the vet. She's fine, just a checkup. Well, it's later in the evening and it's not quite dinner time. That sounds like the beginning of a lyrics. Well, it's later in the evening, but it's not quite dinner time. You keep yours and I'll keep mine. Division of property and I don't know. Anyway, I've done my work. So here are the roughs for page 4, the final page. And as I said before, some of these are a little bit more detailed than some of the others. I mean, this is still basically stick figures, but then that's almost completely drawn. I didn't really want to start with this one because I was going to have to find some reference, and I don't know, this seemed easier. I spent between a half hour and an hour today, and this stayed pretty much the same, which is just a werewolf out of my head, not based on anything specific. This is also a vampire out of my head, but the idea was to be sort of a lame vampire, or at least my conception of a lame vampire. And so for a minute I thought about doing like the old version of Gary. I think Gary Oldman played him in Bram Stoker Dracula. And then I thought about going Twilight, but that's too easy. And then it hit me, the exact type of vampire that would work perfectly is Lestat from Vampire Lestat. Or I forget if Tom Cruise was Lestat or if Brad Pitt was. But anyway, this guy, where I actually even kind of enjoyed that movie. I didn't read the book, but like that's this sort of tragic, whatever, just not very cool kind of vampire, and with his sort of like goofy outfit. I mean, obviously it was period dress, but you know, and then next to him like a badass looking werewolf. So this is finished this panel, and I just did this werewolf out of my head. So it's sort of an amalgam of a few different werewolves I've been drawing up to this point, probably, and a little bit more accurate wolf muzzle since I've studied a few wolves. And done. So now I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 panels left to pencil, and then I can move on to inks. And that's the news from 52. Day 52.